This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. We got a big one tonight down at the ballpark, Blue Cross Field. The Goldeyes look to move on to the American Association Championship Series. We'll hit that for a few minutes with the play-by-play voice of the Fish, Trevor Curl. But we got some hockey to talk about and some unfortunate but big Blue Bomber news to get to as well, involving Chris Streveler's availability for the rest of the season. Young Stars on the ice, getting ready for the Prospects Tournament. We will hit that. Scott Billeck's going to join us a little later on to discuss. We'll hear from Mark Scheifele, who spoke yesterday at the post-captain skate. And we've got some rookie lines to talk about, as the Prospects, as we mentioned, were on the ice today. And, of course, Cole Perfetti out in Vegas representing the Winnipeg Jets at the NHL's media tour, spoke with Michael Russo. I think we've got some positive things to report to you from Vegas, out of the mouth of the young lion himself. It should be a real fun show today. Right after Winnipeg Sports Talk today, at about 3:10 or so, Jeff Hamilton and I will fire up CFL 110 with the latest on the Canadian Football League. Of course, the Bombers on the bye this week, but big Bomber news announced by Chris Streveler himself yesterday. 3 of his 4 ligaments damaged on the weekend against the Riders, and that's it for the Strevolution this year. So a big hole for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the quarterback position. A couple ads coming in, but we will get to all of that. Great to have you all with us. Thanks to all of you podcast listeners making us a part of your daily routine. Appreciate you. Tell a friend about Winnipeg Sports Talk and how they can join the party as well. And, of course, to everyone hanging out with us on YouTube, great to have you here. Let us know you're in the chat right now and say hi to the rest of the gang. Huge thanks to all the sponsors that make WST happen every day. Of course, Garage Living Winnipeg presenting CFL 110 right after the Winnipeg Sports Talk today. Of course, our friends at Princess Auto, who are right in the middle of their massive Mega Smasher event at both Winnipeg locations. Coolbet Canada just finished up the lock shop with Dusty and Pat. Talked a little golf as well as odds out for the Four Nations Cup. Cannot wait for that this year. Also want to thank our friends at Rolly's Transfer. Shout out to Ryan and Ryland. Great to see them last night. Consolidated Supply and Manitoba Battery. Canadian Club, Wallace & Wallace, F Apparel, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, the Winnipeg Goldeyes, the Winnipeg Jets, Assiniboia Downs, Breezy Bend, and of course we'll get to a Why Not question of the day for the gang over at Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Let's get Michael Remis in here and get this show on the road. What's up?
I'm in a great mood. We have lines. Thank you, Mike McIntyre, tweeting out Young Stars practice lines. It must be September. I'm feeling good. Very excited about seeing Jets players in jerseys on the ice. A lot of news today after a very slow August, parts of July as well, but just around the corner. Next weekend, FanFest, official start of Jets training camp. But right now, Young Stars, and we will have games this weekend, but you can't have games without practice and line rushes. And I'm just frothing over here over what Mike tweeted out earlier this morning.
Yeah, you get so bloody horny at these lines. It's cracks me up every time.
Not just lines, Young Stars practice lines.
The thing that listen, the one thing that jumped out to me today, and this is unfortunate, and man, tell me if you've heard this one before. Chaz Lucius is in a non-contact jersey right out of the gate, and I'm sure we'll get some more clarity as to what he's dealing with, whether he'll be able to participate, where he's at right now. But as I said, Chaz Lucius, unfortunately for him and the Jets, has just been the walking incarnation of Murphy's Law. He has had such a difficult time staying healthy, and maybe this is precautionary, although not a great sign that, right out of the gate, if it is precautionary, that they're feeling the need to be that cautious with the player. I mean, he is a talented young man, and when he's been in the lineup, he's shown that, he has the potential to be a difference maker. You just hope that he gets an opportunity to show what he can do at or near 100% when things get going. But it's the usual suspects right off the bat. Interesting, Remo, that no surprise that Brad Lambert is the center on the top line, Colby Barlow on his wing. Kevin He getting the spot on the left side with Brad Lambert and Colby Barlow. And then the second line's pretty intriguing too. Braden Yeager, who just joined us a couple weeks ago after being acquired by the Jets from the Pittsburgh Penguins for Rucker McGroarty. He's going to be in the middle of Chibrikov, and a guy we spent some time talking about yesterday was Stephen Ellis, Jacob Julian, the 5th rounder who had just an awesome season last year with the London Knights.
Yeah, Jacob Julian, a great year last season, and that was a very nice conversation you and Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff had. Check it out on yesterday's show or on our YouTube channel. It is posted separately, and look in the comments. The time codes have where you guys went through each player. But yeah, Kevin He drafted this past season. Imagine he's going to be, the water bug out there, the checker, the guy who's going in, digging the puck out and getting it to Lambert and Barlow for him to use that shot. And the Jets traditionally haven't had a lot of success at this Young Stars term. We hype it up every year, but we'll see how it goes this season. And yeah, Yeager, we're all excited to see him. First look in a Jets jersey. Would he be taking the role of Rutger in the bromance that they had last season at development camp, Colby Barlow and Rucker McGroarty? But Rucker obviously moving on and Yeager in, but it is him with Chibrikov and Julian. And here's the lines from Mike. Elias Salmonson on the top line. We got Danny Zhilkin, who was in here taking in cruise night at Pony Corral on the weekend. Yeah, he was
out at the Pony in the parking lot on Sunday checking out the whips.
So he's enjoying everything Winnipeg has to offer, and he had a nice first season with the Moose last year. So, and how could you forget the goalies? Thomas Billeck came in, started with the ECHL, made it up to the Moose season end. Dom DiVincentis has had a great season in the O. How are they going to get playing time for both these guys? Imagine Billeck will start with the Moose, DiVincentis in the ECHL. We'll see how it goes. Goalies get injured. Goalies get hot and cold. You can't predict them. So I'm excited to see what it makes out. As we haven't really had you haven't needed to have any goalie prospects with Connor Hellebuyck, but they've drafted a couple over the last few seasons, and they've had success, when they've been called upon, whatever league that they've been in.
Yeah, the Jets right now basically have these 5 netminders. And we all know that Hellebuyck is going to be the one. I think it's likely that Kakinen is the 2, which means Eric Comrie will slide to the Moose and be an amazing mentor for Thomas Billeck. I have a feeling that DiVincentis is probably going to be on the Billeck path, which is starting the season in the East Coast Hockey League, playing a ton of hockey. And depending on what happens with injuries, with health, what's happening with the Moose, how other guys are playing, the potential of a recall at some point later on this season. But for goalies at that age, you got to have them seeing pucks, and you have to have them playing. And Billeck benefited greatly from that time in the East Coast League last year, and then sort of got his feet wet playing a little bit more consistently with the Manitoba Moose in the second half. I would imagine that'll be a very similar path for DiVincentis as he begins his professional career. Now, just before we get to the Bombers QB situation, we knew that this couple days was when NHL teams were going to be sending representatives of their clubs for the annual media car wash, where they do a whole bunch of photos and video and interviews as well. And I'd said on this program, you have to think it's a pretty good sign that Cole Perfetti is representing the Winnipeg Jets, considering that he is still yet unsigned. But there is smiling Cole, looking very dapper, I must say, and representing the Winnipeg Jets down in Vegas. And Michael Russo reported this on X, of course, of The Athletic. He spoke with Perfetti today, and he said this about his contract. Our side is working on a deal with them. At this point, I want to be there, but it's exciting to hopefully get this going soon. I'm positive that something's going to come here soon, hopefully. He then joked that they probably wouldn't have asked him to come to the NHLPA media tour if a deal's not close. And then this is key. Perfetti's looking forward to a clean, fresh slate after a tough last season. So first off, Remo, listen, as we expected, but it's nice to get confirmation that certainly it seems like it's in a very good place and things are close. I don't think that he'd be there otherwise. But that last comment, I think, is telling, and part of the challenge certainly for Scott Arniel and Perfetti to move on from, a disappointing second half after such a great start for Cole last year and have him hit the ground running with a lot of confidence to earn one of those top 6 spots and be as productive as he was early in the season for the full 80 games into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, after that first half, Cole was having a great season. I think he was 4th on the team in points. He was making the most of his minutes, and in the second half, he had a slump. 20 games or so without a point. Wasn't going well. Got healthy, scratched, and I think they're looking to turn the page and know that he can be a guy that they can rely on for points. You'd probably get second power play time where he was productive. He's got vision. Maybe even some top power play time. Depending on who's in and who's out of the lineup. So he's looking to have a good season. As far as the contract, it seems like it's going to get done, you'd think. But, hey, training camp's a week away, and I don't think he would show up if he doesn't have one. So there is that deadline that's there. And, sometimes deadlines make things move more quickly. But I do agree. They probably wouldn't send him or he wouldn't go. Or maybe he's just a young guy who's like, hey, this is a great opportunity. And some of the veteran guys are like, you know what, we've done this before. You take the trip to Vegas, Cole. So I don't know everything that went into it, Hustler, but it is interesting that he is there without a contract, whatever way you want to take it. But it does seem like it's going to get done at some point. But again, the training camp's next week, so it seems like it's going to get done within the week, but it also may not, Huss. And so you don't know. Everyone's optimistic.
Bottom line is it's not some big stalemate where they're not talking to each other and it's in a bad place, because if that's where it was, he wouldn't be doing this. But he is right now. It sounds like it's close. And I'm most interested to see, as we've talked about yesterday, as to where this ends up. I mean, I think I'm actually feeling more optimistic about a long-term deal today, just thinking more about this with him being there. I mean, if they were just going to get a bridge deal done, I don't think that would have been that difficult to do. I mean, it's a heck of a lot more easy just to put together a 2-year deal based on the fact that he doesn't have arbitration right now. You look at those last couple years and, you make it somewhere between 3 and 4, and you move on for the next 2 seasons. I don't know. What are you like? We talked about this with some of the other guys yesterday. I mean, there is a deal that is going to get done. I mean, are you of the short term still, or do you think that this is going to end up with a 6 or 7+ year deal?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be beneficial for the Jets to get him into a long-term deal now, because if you get him into a short-term deal, I'm guessing you're going to end up paying more in a couple of years. I think that's the strategy here. Lock up your young guys long-term early. Because again, when you do the bridge deal, I think the AAV just goes up after, assuming they progress the way you think they're going to. For him, I think I think him and his agent probably want to do a shorter term, Huss. I think he feels like he's got more to prove. Maybe he could increase that AAV. But when you offer a guy, $30 million guaranteed or whatever, 6x6, $36 million, I think it's really hard to turn that down. So the Jets are going to have to make him an offer that he can't really refuse. And maybe he does take a short-term, 2-year, what would it be, $3-4 million at 2 years. I forget what we've said
Yeah,
the
I mean, I
past.
think it's over. It's less than 4. It's more than 3. I mean, that's, where it would end up. I mean, and then he'd probably be looking at, having to make up $6 million over these 2 years in a new contract, not to mention going through all of it again. I mean, listen, for Cole, I think it's in the best interest of everyone to get something done where we're not going through this dog and pony show again in 2 years. There's a commitment from the team to the player. There's a commitment from the player to the team and the city. And you move forward focusing on hockey and helping this team win hockey games. That's where I hope to see it end. I mean, it won't be the end of the world if it's a 2-year bridge deal. What we don't want is something dragging into training camp and keeping Cole Perfetti out of the lineup when he could be spending valuable time on the ice, getting ready for the season and gelling with whatever the line mates that Scott O'Neill has him playing with out of the gate. So we'll hit this more with Billeck a little bit later on and stay on top of that. But looking forward to discussing a new Perfetti contract at some point, hopefully in the near future, before training camp officially gets underway for the Winnipeg Jets. All right, let's move over to the Bombers for a minute, Reem. And again, we're going to talk Goldeyes for a few with Trevor Curl, and then we're going to hear from Mark Scheifele. But a very unfortunate Instagram post last night from Chris Streveler clued everybody in on the severity of the injury that he suffered at the hand of Miles Brown and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I can't say that I'm really shocked at this when you saw the distress and the anger that Chris Streveler was feeling and showing as he left the field in the Banjo Bowl. But he confirmed today that he tore 3 of the 4 major ligaments in his knee, which is a devastating injury, and that means Chris Streveler will be on the shelf for the rest of this season and leaves a big, big hole in the Bomber quarterback room behind Zach Collaros moving forward.
Yeah, that's tough. Came back from the NFL this season. So much excitement. Preseason, came on this show, and he couldn't stop saying how excited he was back playing football again. A lot of watching for him previously, a lot of practice rosters, but, got into game action. And, I mean, a real tough play where you fake the short yardage, go for the pass, and defender Miles Brown, the one who had the late high hit on Zach Collaros the week before, he falls, grabs onto Streveler's knee, and tore 3 of 4 ligaments. Streveler writing, "This weekend was the first time in my life I've ever went down on a football field and stayed down," and you saw the pain there. And he said it's not the end of his journey. He's going to attack rehab with the same relentless work ethic and positive attitude that he brings day in and day out. See you back on the field soon. So Streveler is going to try to come back. We'll see what the future holds for him. But for right now, the Bombers have a hole in backup quarterback and short yardage. How are they going to do that? And reporting Dave Naylor, Jeff Hamilton, CJOB today saying the Bombers are bringing in 2 guys. And I think Dave said they're going to sign them, but that may have just happened right when we went live.
Yeah, well, Hammer had this last night, and obviously was onto something because he dropped out that the options include Jake Dolegala or Brian Scott, both of whom were released from the Lions and Argos respectively earlier this year. Taylor Cornelius could also be of interest. And listen, Cornelius can certainly do the short yardage job. I mean, I tweeted this out last night, Reem, that like the loss of Streveler is, listen, it's significant to the short yardage game, but I'm far less concerned about whether the Bombers are going to be able to convert 3rd and 1s than I am about what happens if Zach Collaros gets hurt. And I mean, I'll just read you what I put out last night, which got quite a bit of feedback on the old X. I'm fine with Wilson as short yardage QB and maybe giving Brady Oliveira a goal line touch or 2 for a change. Any Bomber quarterback ad has to be a guy you can think can deliver a chance to win if Zach goes down when it counts. And I mentioned Bo Levi Mitchell, depending on what happens in the next couple of weeks with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And we also talked about Jeremiah Masoli, who certainly acquitted himself well and has one chance to start this year for the Ottawa Red Blacks. Now, normally, why would a guy like that be potentially available when Ottawa's in the position that they're in. Well, that's a really, really crowded quarterback room because they have Dustin Crum, who I know they like as well. So, I mean, those were two guys off the top of my head. But I don't know a lot about Brian Scott. I know enough about Jake Dolegala that I don't know how confident I would be if the Bombers, with their season on the line, had to roll one of those guys out there to be QB1. There's a lot riding on Zach Collaros. He's been out a couple times this season. He's left 2 games. I am not comfortable with where the Bomber quarterback depth chart is right now with Chris Streveler gone. And you could have made an argument even before that the Bombers maybe needed a better second option to play full-time if Collaros was out, even with Streveler in the mix.
Yeah, Streveler just seemed they were very reluctant whenever he came in to actually throw. They did win the game with him against Ottawa, a lot of running. Jake Dolegala had some nice starts last year in Saskatchewan. I remember taking the over prop on his yardage, but you look at his record and it was 2-7. I think part of that is, the team that he was on, which went through some major, front office and personnel changes running it. But I think he can come in. But I think the idea that, we need a good backup, when our quarterback, in case he gets hurt. I mean, you're riding with your number one, Huss. I mean, when Tom Brady went down, they had Matt Castle, and their season was over. Like the backup for Peyton Manning.
Well, they actually went Matt Castle went 11-5.
Well,
he went 11-5 that season, and they didn't make the playoffs, which was insane. But that was an anomaly. Hey, he earned himself many, many millions of dollars from the Chiefs to move over there after that. But I know what you're saying.
When the Colts, Peyton Manning, when he got hurt, their season was over. That's just what it is in football. But you do want to have...
it's not the case in BC, and it's not the case in Edmonton.
Well, I guess
the 2 teams that the Bombers are going to be playing against right now.
I guess CFL, 8-9 teams is different. I mean, Davis Alexander came in and played well for Montreal, and Ottawa won with Masoli. So maybe I'm comparing apples to oranges here. But they're riding with Zach, and they don't have that backup. Maybe Dolegala can come. He's really tall and throw. We'll see. But I think it's tough, Us. You're losing your quarterback for any team, no matter the league.
No, I just and I mean, I guess Dolegala has enough experience that it's not like you're putting deer in the headlights out there if he does have to play. But I just think, and Zach's been very consistent as far as being available for the most part during his time as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber quarterback. But you have to think, what if? And as it looks right now, if anything happens to Zach Collaros, it seems like it is going to be, put it this way. I mean, I don't have high hopes for the Bombers winning another Grey Cup or getting to the Grey Cup if anything happens to Zach. And listen, if I was in that chair where Kyle Walters is right now and Mike O'Shea, I'd be doing everything I could to get the best possible backup option for Zach Collaros and hope that you'll never need him because Zach's playing well and the Bombers are winning football games. That will be a big topic coming up on CFL 110 after Winnipeg Sports Talk today with myself and Jeff Hamilton. So make sure to stick around for that and fire up CFL 110 wherever you get your favorite podcasts like Winnipeg Sports Talk if you have not already. We are going to be doing that again. It's brought to you by Garage Living Winnipeg. Stay tuned after that. Let me give a big shout out to our friends over at Rowley's Transfer. Man, I got together with Ryan and Ryland last night after work to just catch up, talk about a few things. It was great to see them and talk about how busy that they've been. Their logistics business continues to grow, and they are still moving Manitobans, whether it's in the city or throughout southern Manitoba, as they've been doing for over 60 years as the most trusted name in moving services right here in the province. If you have a move coming up, get the white glove treatment from Rowley's and get on over to their website at rowleys.com. You can find out everything that they've got going on, all about their business, their history. But in the top right corner, there's a request an estimate feature. What you're going to want to do is first off, put in WST as a promo code for a special discount on moving services and supplies, and then let them know when and where you're moving. And what you're moving. You can even upload pictures of furniture or boxes. They'll turn it around with a quick and very competitive quote to get you on the road to your next move with the most trusted name in moving. For over 60 years, Rollies Transfer. Check them out online at rollies.com or request an estimate today. And don't forget to use that promo code WST. Our friends at Consolidated Supply have had quite the summer, but they are now rolling, heading into fall with still so much work left to be done for Winnipeggers and Manitobans when it comes to things like irrigation. As the leaders in irrigation systems and solutions, they've also got all sorts of artificial turf. If you're maybe thinking about that dream putting green in the backyard, and of course golf carts, many with many industrial uses, I should say, as the club car dealer in Manitoba. But if you're thinking about a hot tub, an amazing outdoor kitchen option for your place, pop by and see them. And they're also, of course, the leaders in small engine parts and repair and have the entire line of new Crest power tools. Pop by and check out Consolidated Supply for yourself at their showroom, open to the public, 1395 Niagara Road East, or you can check them out online at their website at cte.ca. And hey, shout out to Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery. Talking to Edmonds the other day. I know he's in there all the time getting batteries for his fishing boat and everything. Listen, the summer's been so much fun. Whether you were camping, getting on an ATV, out on a boat, Manitoba Battery's been there for Winnipeggers to get them the best and lowest prices on batteries of all kinds. Soon we'll be worrying about those car and truck batteries with the Winnipeg winter, but not quite yet. The bottom line is Manitoba Battery is your local option with 2 locations for the best prices on batteries for literally everything. And if you can't pop into Logan Avenue or their new location on Dover Court, don't worry about it. Give them a call or go to manitobabattery.com and order, and they'll deliver it to you for free with any purchase over $60 inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. It's just that easy. Beat the pants off the big box stores on price and service. manitobabattery.com for all your battery needs. Check them out at manitobabattery.com. All right, we got a big one tonight. It could be a trip to the championship series for the Winnipeg Goldeyes if they can beat the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks. 6:30 start. Tickets are going like crazy. It is going to be an amazing atmosphere. Get out there if you can. And to tee up this big opportunity for the Fish, let's welcome in the play-by-play voice of the Goldeyes, Trevor Curl, back to the program. Trev, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, doing great. This is a lot of fun being back home after going down to Fargo and doing a little damage against the Red Chickens. I mean, anytime you get a chance to beat Fargo in the postseason, it's just that much exciting. You know, for me being here for a first year, you know, I can only say so much about the rivalry, but to all the Goldeyes fans, Goldeyes executives who have been here since day one, I mean, this is the best, being able to go down and beat your rival on the road. So hopefully we can seal the deal tonight, get an early celebration going.
Well, let's first of all talk about how we got there, because there was a lot of, I guess, interest. I mean, a lot of people didn't even know how the playoffs worked as far as, you know, if you're the first place team, you got to pick who you're going to play. They picked Sioux Falls, who was second. Joey gets onto the hill in game 1 and they lose, and you come back facing elimination on Friday night. I was in the ballpark for both of those games. Friday in particular, just an amazing crowd and atmosphere. But they got the job to turn it around. What did you make of that comeback in game number 2? Max Murphy turning it around, Arroyo adding, I mean, what a series for him. But just the way the Goldeyes got through series 1 and how that sort of carried them into game 1 in Fargo on Monday.
Yeah, so game 1 did not go the way that anyone really wanted. Joey, and probably didn't have his best stuff that day. Good fastball, but his cutter, his slider, kind of his bread and butter pitches just weren't really on. So that takes us into games 2. And game 2, we have Landon going, and you're just hoping that he can give us a good start to just kick us off on the right foot. Sioux Falls ends up going up ahead early on, so tides kind of change early. Offense was still trying to figure its clicking out. And this is an offense who's had its ups and downs throughout the regular season. Either everyone's going, everyone's kind of taking its time to get rolling, second time around, third time around through the order. I mean, you face Ty Colbreth over and over and over again. You just get used to what he's throwing. And the guys have seen him 4 times enough on the season already. So they were just waiting for that extra moment to really get them rolling. And I really do feel that when this ball club finds that spark in the lineup, things just keep clicking. And it took to that 6th inning. You got the leadoff single by Dayson. Max goes down 2 strikes, but then gets a 2-strike cookie out over the plate, drives it to dead center field. Ballpark's right back up on its feet. You have that spark to keep it rolling. But then it keeps on going. Then you have another base hit by Miles. You knock Culberth out of the game. You try to bunt him over. Might not work out on the bunt. Next thing you know, Robbie puts a base hit into the gap that puts Miles first to third. So now you have runners at the corners. So all you need is a deep fly ball from Edwin. He's a guy who doesn't strike out, doesn't swing and miss a whole lot. He gets a little bit more under one than probably he was initially thinking. Goes out to right center field. Blue Cross Park is then going just absolutely nuts. Fireworks after the game. And then game 3, just turns right on its head right at the beginning. You have the 3-run home run by Edwin, and that pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered that game 3. But then in game 1 in Fargo, have runners on base early on. You have the bases loaded with 1 out, and all you're thinking about is, man, if you can just get something going early, you can really take control of this game. That doesn't end up happening. So go to the bottom of the 1st inning. They get a 2-out base runner. Alcantara, he's quick, steals second, steals third, base hit into left center field, drives him in. So you can really tell what happens when Alcantara gets on base. You got to make sure he stays where he's at. But, go down 1-0 early. So what? Next inning, guys turn it around, 3 runs there. 2 more the next inning, 2 more the next inning, add 1 more just for fun of it. Next thing you know, guys get it done. Win game 1 on the road, coming back home for game 2, and hopefully we can finish this thing off here, get to the championship series.
Well, I was just texting with Andrew Collier. It should be another great crowd tonight. The Friday atmosphere was just as good as I can remember, really probably since, a few playoff runs ago. I mean, there's something, people go to the ballpark, they have a great time, win or lose. This was a crowd, Trevor, that was absolutely hanging on every single pitch. And that's what playoff baseball is all about. And then all the people that came over from the Banjo Bowl afterwards, there was lots of blue in the crowd on Saturday night to see the team win. I think it's setting up for what should be a great number. We should be well over 5,000, I think, by the time first pitch goes. But I encourage everyone, if you are going to the game, get your tickets online and get them in your phone, because there is going to be a massive lineup, which often happens of people just deciding to walk up. That being said, you'd rather be having a beer and having something to eat and watching the game as opposed to waiting for a couple of innings in a massive line. So goldeyes.com. If you have any questions about it, give them a call at 982-BASE. But get those tickets done early, get them in your phone, and then show up, walk right in, and see what should be a great game. Fill us in on the pitching matchup tonight in this game that could send the Goldeyes to the championship series.
Yeah, I got Colton Davis going for the Red Hawks, and we've seen Davis before. Goldeyes are 2-1 against him. They've hit him well over the course of the season. They've already have proven that this offense is back to its swinging self that they've had in the early part of the season. So I'm not too worried about the offense going in tonight. And then you got Zach Reiner going for the Goldeyes, former major leaguer. Guy hasn't pitched in the postseason yet, so he's pretty much going to be able to let everything up out of the tank tonight, which, you'll take that right away from someone who's got some big league experience, guy who's been pitched in some big games, has postseason experience with Cleburne back in 2022. So you're just going to let your experience ride out in game 2, kind of like we did with Lamson in game 3. So just experience really matters in the postseason. And, to your point, everyone being involved in every single pitch. I mean, it goes from everyone top to bottom in the organization, especially for me, just the intensity that every single pitch matters in the postseason. And just nothing is better than postseason baseball. I mean, I've watched playoff baseball my entire life in October. Never with the Mariners, obviously. But just being able to watch postseason baseball and hearing how the broadcasters are just so in tune to every single pitch. They are nailing every single call. I think for me, that's where my job comes in, and I'm trying to nail every single pitch. And then for the guys on the field, they understand how important this is. They know every single pitch matters, and they don't take any pitches off. Everyone's on the top rails of the dugouts. Everyone is so tuned in. And I just love the fact that the city is also embracing playoff baseball.
I see Running Man in the chat. Got my ticket for tonight's game and throwing up some Goldeyes logos in the chat. Love to see it. I'm going to be there. And as I say, if you have a free spot tonight, I mean, I would always say tune into CJNU and listen to Trevor the Call and check it out. Tonight's the night to be in the ballpark. Tonight's the night to be there. And a huge opportunity for them to finish this series in 2, get a little bit of extra rest, and then get ready for a best of 5 championship series, I believe, Trevor?
Yeah, it goes to best of 3, best of 3, best of 5. And personally, I wish it was best of 3, then best of 5, best of 5. I think when you're talking about postseason, you can't really judge a team based on a 3-game performance sometimes. Like, if that Sioux Falls game went to 5 games, I think that series is even better than what just that 3-game series was. And I think this one could also be the same deal. But, regardless, you're throwing out your A-arms in games 1 and 2, and then whatever happens in game 3 happens in game 3. So in this one, guys are going for the juggler right now. They're going for the easy kill here, going for the win tonight, and then hopefully get a couple of extra days off so they can reset everything.
What are the scenarios for a championship season? And again, there's work to be done for the Goldeyes to get there first, but I understand they'd be starting on the road on the weekend, and then I think Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would be the games here. Who's on the other side in that series right now, and how's that looking?
Well, it's right now coming down to the Battle of Illinois. It's Kane County versus Chicago, and don't count out Chicago quite yet. They lost game 1 at home and then went down to Cleburne, which is a hard place to win, by the way. Cleburne is a tricky spot to play in. I mean, you got to do all that travel. It's Texas, so it's hot as well. But not only that, you also have that roadblock by playing on the road. So what do you have to do to win those games? You got to jump on teams early, or you just got to be able to fight them deep in games. And Chicago did that against Cleburne. So I really don't know how that series is going to play out on the other side of things. Game 1 was pretty intense. It was a tight one, but then Kane County ended up running away with it later. I don't see a scenario where that one gets finished today. I think that one ends up going 3 games. And, I mean, it could be a full-on blood battle over there on the other side. So, who knows? But I think the best part about playoff baseball is that you just get a chance to watch everything kind of unfold. And everyone's bringing their best guns to the ballpark, so that's the best part about that.
Well, 6:30 tonight, game 2. The Goldeyes with the opportunity to punt their arch rivals, the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks, out of the playoffs and book that trip to the American Association Championship Series. It was a great couple days, Friday and Saturday, if you were there tonight. And I guess we'll hope that they get it done tonight, and then, an extra day of rest and a little extra day to prepare and get selling some tickets for a championship series next year. Trevor, thanks so much for doing this. Fingers crossed the fellas get this done, and we can have another chat talking about a championship series next week with you here on WST.
Yeah, no kidding. Thanks. And one more shout out to the manager of the year, Logan Watkins, getting awarded that yesterday. That was a huge boost to the guys in the group chats. It was really special to see Logan go from Cleburne to Winnipeg and then be able to have the final laugh so far.
Well, you know what? Actually, we talked about that yesterday afternoon, right when it was announced and when we were live on the show. But we talked about this a little bit last time when you were on with us. For such a young man, a guy that's only been managing for a few years, although had a great professional career, he has put his stamp all over this ball club, and as much of it as a kind of GM, if you will, as a coach. He spoke that a lot of the work went in to get these guys here, but just gave a ton of credit to his players, his pitching staff, because an award like this really is in a lot of ways a team award. But man, does Logan deserve a lot of credit for the job that he's done this year with the Fish.
Yeah, no kidding. Being 35 years old, me being 24 years old, I mean, we talked about at the very beginning of the season how the team was shifting to a lot younger of a shift. And when you have a group of guys who rally behind Logan like that, because he was, just a player so recently, played in the major leagues, played in this league, he has a ton of credibility, and the guys love playing for him. I really want to see him back next year. And I think the number one ticket for that is to get the job done here and win the whole darn thing.
Well, let's make it happen. 6:30 tonight, Blue Cross Park, Fish, Redhawks. Winnipeg 1 win away from a trip to the American Association Championship season. Incredible turnaround after a very rough 2023 for the Fish, but it's been a lot of winning this year. And Logan Watkins, everyone deserves a lot of credit, but the job is not done. We'll see you at the ballpark tonight, Trevor. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. See you there.
Again, gang, it is goldeyes.com for tickets for the game tonight. An expected crowd in excess of 5,000 for tonight. Get there early. And again, get your tickets digitally so you don't have to wait in any lines when you get down to the ballpark tonight. Great stuff from Trevor Curl. And of course, you can check out his broadcasts, CJNU, I believe 93.7. And maybe you bring a radio to the ballpark. It's always a nice little accompaniment while you're watching the game. Remo, well, you were out with us on Friday. I mean, you've been to lots of Goldeyes. That was very different than anything we saw in the regular season, though. I mean, it was just such a great atmosphere for such a big game. And, I remember that Murphy homer and then Arroyo going deep, completely flipping that game around. And the Goldeyes seemingly since that half inning have just kept on rolling, taking care of Sioux Falls in game 3. And then the momentum carried right down into Fargo for game number 1.
Yeah, the Goldeyes have had a history of great crowds. I remember being at playoff games in, 2001. They had a great season. 2017.
17 was nuts.
17 was a great season as well. I remember 2001 they fell just short. But, Winnipeg crowd brings it out. And I agree with Trevor. In postseason baseball, such a different animal than regular season. Every pitch matters. Every at-bat, every little decision seems to have more of an impact on the game. And to see them have this chance after such a miserable year last year, get back, bring in Logan Watkins, have him be manager of the year, and be 1 win away from the championship series. Just an incredible turnaround from season to forget last year. So, well done. Looking forward to seeing, the crowd tonight come out. I mean, great. I looked at my the temperature on my car the other day. It was like 30. I was like, holy Jesus, I thought we were done. 30-degree weather, but the weather's been great. Good night for baseball. So enjoy Wednesday night out at the ballpark for Goldeyes against the rival. What do you call them? The Chickens? Red Chickens?
The Red Chickens.
I don't think I've heard that.
A little bit of I imagine that is the slur from the Fish for the Red Hawks. Call them the Red Chickens right now. We'll see what they've got tonight. This is a great rivalry, though, and it will be a great, great tilt. Looking forward to seeing many of you down at the ballpark tonight. We're going to talk about the upcoming Jets season at around 2:30. Our pal Kyle Balharry is going to pop by from the organization to kind of break down the promo schedule, some new features of the arena this year, and everything that we have to look forward to when we get out to, of course, in FanFest as well. So I'm looking forward to having Balls jump on with us. But Billeck is going to pop in about 15 minutes or so. But I did want to get to Mark Scheifele because I knew at the start we'd be talking about the latest out of Vegas with Cole Perfetti, and obviously everything that we're hearing about the skates with the veterans and the prospects, of which Billeck was down for. So we'll get to all of that. But Mark Scheifele spoke yesterday and was a really good and interesting back and forth with Mark. And a big shout out to our pal Dave Manouk of Illegal Curve, who got all the audio and the clips. But I wanted to play some of this for you just to, get the feeling of, a veteran number 1 center for this Winnipeg team going into another campaign. A little bit of a different scenario as far as the roster goes as opposed to some recent years. Here's what Scheifele had to say just about the Jets offseason overall.
There's obviously some spots there for young guys to step in and play a key role. So, that's probably what I'm most excited about is seeing the young guys, the summer they had, what they worked on, how they grew. I think that, at that age, it's so important to grow so much each and every summer. So I think that's probably what I'm most excited about seeing.
Mark, you said last year when you signed, one of the reasons was this team was making it clear that they were trying to win every year. How does that statement square with the loss of a lot of established players over this summer and not replacing them with established players?
Yeah, I think our core here for the most part is still intact. Obviously, when you got a goalie like Bucky and net. You have a chance every single night. With JMO, one of the best defenders in the league. Obviously with KC, Nicky, Fett's coming into his own. Lows, still our core's intact. We just need some guys to step into roles, and obviously there's some spots available. So it's right for the taking, and hopefully some of these young guys come into camp hungry and ready to take a spot and establish their NHL career.
Yeah, listen, that's good to hear from Mark Scheifele. I know there were some people that had thought or suggested that if you have some young players that were coming in with roster spots open, that might rub some of the veterans the wrong way. Who had signed here that expect to be there and ready to win. I'll make the argument that teams can be better if they're bringing in some young players. Look at teams that have had a lot of success. A lot of times you do have young players contributing on ELCs. And with some of the talent the Jets have in the pipeline, I think there's an interest to get a look at it. And I think the players are in for that as well. Scheifele was asked, among the young players in the organization, who are the guys that he's excited to see come and show what they can do at training camp?
Probably watching Lambo at the end of the year, seeing what he did in that last game. If I feel like even just you don't see him all year, and I felt like he grew a lot just physically. I think that's an exciting. I think he's an exciting one. Obviously Chibrikov, Salamonson, that guy. I think I'm excited to see that. Yager, obviously, you don't watch too many WHL games, but obviously had a fantastic year in junior, and excited to see what he has. So like I said, there's a lot of spots available, and it's on them to reach out and grab it. So I'm excited to see them push for more.
You hear, Mark roll out, a number of the players that we talked about with Ellis yesterday that, have the best chance of, being, significant factors in training camp and maybe getting some NHL looks. Braden Yager, to me, is the most interesting that Mark Scheifele just mentioned. Not that it's likely that he plays this year, but Remis, I just remember asking Braden when he joined us on the program about what he learned from training camp with Sidney Crosby. And, he mentioned that he was sort of with Sid. He was in that group and played as well. And, just tried to suck up as much as he could during that training camp. I would imagine that he's going to do that exact same thing with a player like Mark Scheifele. And, for Braden to come in a year from now with 2 different NHL training camps under his belt, with a little bit of mentoring at one point from Sidney Crosby and, potentially from a guy like Mark Scheifele, I would suggest pretty good influences to have for a young man to prepare him to make the jump to the National Hockey League, even if that time might not be imminent.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do. Put yourself in a good position, to have the most success. And that's listening to a guy like Crosby or Scheifele or any of the Jets veterans. You got to put in the work, because they're not going to just hand you a roster spot because you're a 14th overall pick, Huss. You do have to go to training camp and make an impression and show that you belong there. So in terms of players, looking forward to see Brad Lambert. Is he going to take a step forward? I was kind of surprised he was on the Young Stars roster, Huss. I thought he'd be like, I'm too good for this, but he's, playing a pro season in the AHL, getting called up with Chibrikov there for that game at the end of the season.
Lambert has done all the right things. Mm-hmm. For a player that was so highly ranked, that had a tough draft year, that fell down to where the Jets picked him at the end of the first round, whether it was coming here to the Moose, whether it was going to the juniors, coming back to the Moose, playing center, I think this is a guy that is just doing everything he can to show the organization that he'll do whatever it takes to try to put himself in the best spot to succeed. And that includes playing with some of these other top prospects at the prospects tournament, trying to, show himself amongst his peers and take a little bit of momentum from hopefully a great weekend out in Penticton into the main camp with the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, it's a new head coach this year. And the guy that'll be determining whether Brad Lambert is on the roster or not is, of course, Scott Arniel, now that Rick Bowness has moved on. Mark Scheifele was speaking about the coaching change and was just asked if he expects a smooth transition from Bones to the Arnie era.
Yeah, I think so. I think because we had him for, kind of like 2 months throughout the year. I think we kind of got used to what he's like behind the bench, and we had some pretty good stretches when he was there. So obviously it's a little different when you have the head coach job, but I'm expecting him to be great. I'm excited to work with him. He was with the D last year, so he didn't get a lot of interaction with him, but excited to see what he does as a head coach.
All right, so there's Mark Scheifele on Scott Arniel taking over from Rick Bowness. The other thing that's happening right now, of course, Mark was speaking there, this is kind of in advance of any official opening of training camp. These are sort of the captain skates, and great turnout from the majority of players on the club who have been with the team so far as the last few trickle into Winnipeg. He was just asked what to make of so many guys skating before camp actually opens.
I think just skates end after Labor Day back where everyone's from. So a lot of guys just are looking for ice, and it's obviously great to have a lot of guys in town to put together a good skate. So it's obviously nice to be back with the guys, be able to golf with the guys, and I think that's always the funnest part is the kind of the week before camp actually starts, where you just get to hang out and be boys. So still a lot of time till camp.
Yeah, I'd love to have a camera on some of those money games with the fellas. Let's see what the Samberg Scheifele head-to-head battle after Dylan played so well in the Manitoba Open earlier this year. The one guy that's not here today is Cole Perfetti. We talked about him. He's in Vegas representing the Winnipeg Jets. Sounds like things are moving forward in a positive direction, and it certainly sounded like things are quote-unquote close, as what Cole had to say with Michael Russo. Scheifele was asked if he had any advice for Cole Perfetti during these negotiations on a new contract.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I've gone through it. So many guys have gone through it. It's a matter of the business. So he's got a good head on his shoulders. So he's I don't worry about him at all. I think he's doing just fine. That's up to him. You never mess with anyone's business. That's what I've learned in this league. Everyone's business is their business. All you try to do is be there as a friend, and you don't ask for specifics. You just want to be a shoulder to lean on, and that's all you can do.
All right, so there's Mark Scheifele on being asked unsuccessfully for advice for for what Cole Perfetti should do right now. One way or the other, get that contract signed, get in a training camp, and have a great season. No Brendan Dillon this season. He's moved on. Nate Schmidt has moved on. And those are big holes to fill in the dressing room. But, of course, Eric Comrie's come back to the organization. Whether or not he'll be with the Jets or the Moose, I guess we'll find out. Scheifele just talked about losing a couple very popular teammates, but also getting a guy like Eric Comrie back in the mix.
Yeah, you need guys to step in. That's what happens in this business. You lose players, you need guys to step up and fill that role. I think obviously Dilly's a big loss. Did a lot for us. Tough guy, hard to play against. So, but at the end of the day, you just wish them the best. They're all great friends, and we need guys to step in and take the bull by the horns and go from there.
I know you talk about good friends, but it's like to get Eric Comrie back in the fold. Guy, obviously, you're very close.
Happiest day, that's for sure. I was one of the I was playing. I was happier than he was. Obviously, very very happy to have Eric back. One of my closest friends. I don't think I can put into words how excited I am that he's back.
Is Eric Comrie the number one vibes guy in a hockey ring? We often talked about Nate Schmidt and how much everyone loved him and how he could bring up the room. You see that genuine smile from Mark Scheifele in an answer like that. And I'm willing to say that Eric Comrie might be the vibes guy in Winnipeg, even if he's not with the Jets, just having him back in the organization. Look at that smile.
I've never seen Mark Scheifele so happy to do media ever. I mean, he couldn't hold back that smile. And I think he wasn't kidding when he said he was happier that Eric Comrie was coming back to Winnipeg than Eric was. when he signed that contract. So that's awesome. So many good friends. They participated in each other's weddings. A number of players getting married over the season or having kids. DeMello, Pionk.
Yeah, the boys are all growing up.
I think we need to do like a primer heading into training camp on which Jets got married and which had kids. Who cares about anyone's training or what skills?
Well, we gotta get in there and ask the real questions, like who had the wildest wedding.
Yeah.
Who got a little too loose at any of the weddings? Any teammates? Who was the tie around the head guy on the dance floor? All of those important things that Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners want to know about. Back to business, though. Mark Scheifele, of course, one of the leaders of this team, unquestionably, and also now with a brand new contract. He signed it last year. It kicks in right now. Scheifele was just asked about his role with the team heading into this season, with his new contract kicking in.
Yeah, I'm an old fart now. That's just the way it goes. It's exciting to, obviously kick into this new deal, and it's fun to, I think that's the exciting thing about the summer is you see spots open for young guys, and I remember what that was like when I was younger. A spot that's right for the picking, and having to give it your all and do everything in your power to better your game and be prepared to play in the NHL. It's no easy feat. So. I think that's what excites me the most is just to see those guys and, see what they got and, try to help as much as I can. But, it'll be an exciting camp.
Mark Scheifele insulting all of us, calling himself an old fart at only 31 years old. What about the rest of us, Mark? Think anyone will roll into the Canada Life Center this year with the 55 jersey with old fart as the name bar after he has self-glossed himself like that?
I think he just gave that be a great idea. I'd love to have an old fart of that jersey. And when he called himself that, I was like, man, I remember when he was a rookie, his first training camp here after being selected, being at the draft, for him to say old fart at 31, Huss. We're all doomed.
It is, listen, it's wild to see, meeting Mark as an 18-year-old and now, 14 years later, see him being, still with the organization, kicking in on a new contract that will likely keep him a Jet for the rest of his career with some big expectations this year. One other thing that Mark was asked about, and this is a funny one. He was asked if coaching is in his future after leading some guys in drills at the end of the skate. Coach Scheifele? Here's what he had to say on that.
I will not be coaching after my career, that's for sure. Maybe take over Oatsy's business, but I think to be honest, it's more selfish than anything. I have thoughts that I want to work on, and obviously with Gaber, I have some thoughts for him and for Shazi and Jad to come in and join. I'm always welcoming, guys to work on stuff and work on things in their game. A lot of it is thoughts about my own hands and things that I'm trying to work on, but it's stuff that everyone obviously can work on. But I love when guys stay on late and try to work. That's how you gain my respect right away. Is you want to stay on and work on your game. You got my vote. So I love seeing that, and Gaber's a guy who I have a lot of faith in, and always ready to push him for more.
All right, so there's Mark Scheifele. I don't buy that for a minute, that there is no chance of coaching in Mark Scheifele's future. Like, do you not think, and again, this is a conversation to have far down the road, but considering it was just asked to him, Reem, there's no way that Mark Scheifele isn't heavily involved in hockey when he's done. And I would think the competitive nature of Mark would certainly lead him to a possibility of a guy. And I guess you could maybe do it like the Adam Oates, like the skills coach or whatever, but I don't know. I think the way Scheifele studies and thinks the game, he would actually be at the top of my list of guys that might go into coaching at some point, or potentially management. Maybe the funniest result, in 10 years would Mark Scheifele being like an AGM and then a GM and be known as an analytics expert after some of his comments about analytics in previous seasons.
Yeah.
Hogwash, I believe. I think hogwash expert.
These guys have hockey in their blood. It's what they know. We'll see what, Scheifele says now and what he says after his career. I was just sitting there trying to decipher all of these nicknames. I know Gaber, I'm assuming that's Gabe Villardi, that they were working together.
Chances are.
I thought, and there were some other ones in there. It's very hard to catch us. I should have put on subtitles. But we'll see what happens. I see them, working. I'm sure Scheifele and Villardi will be playing together, and they have some ideas. And I didn't enjoy, coming in a week before. It sounded like it was just like, well, no one else is skating, so we had to come here. But it is, you get in, you get settled. You're not, coming here during training camp. You're already settled in. You've had a week with the guys golfing or, doing whatever. They're having movie nights. Us, I don't know what they're getting
movie
up
nights,
to.
Couple sleepovers,
yeah,
I'm sure.
Couple sleepovers. Yeah, shared popcorn on the couch probably. but hey, then you get ready to go. So it is nice to have that time before you get underway, and seeing them work on whatever they have to work on after practice. Nice to hear. But we'll see if Scheifele enters coaching. I'm sure he'll still be involved with hockey when his career is done.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Great stuff. And again, thanks again to Dave and Illegal Curve for that audio from yesterday down at the Hockey for All Center. You know what? Maybe during the time off in between skating and golfing, the guys on the Jets are going to pop down to Princess Auto and check out their Mega Smasher sale, which is on right now. Began yesterday and it runs through the 22nd. This is the best deals of the season on everything you need to get the job done around your shop, garage, home, or at work. Special note of Saturday is demo days, and they're going to have a bunch of demos in the stores and showcasing log splitters, which you can see in action. And it's a great work, to educate, people on how to choose the best log splitter for their needs. They've also got some other amazing deals. Like you could buy a 60-gallon Sanborn air compressor for only $7.88 and get a $101 Princess Auto gift card. That's in-store only. A similar deal, a 3,400 PSI wet jet pressure washer for only $8.99. You buy that, you'll get a $201 Princess Auto gift card. Of course, that's in-store only. 15-inch trailer tires for only $98.88. Save $600 on the 26-inch Bozeman sawmill and grab the trailer while you're at it. Princess Auto, ideas, tools, and great deals. Amazing ones right now in the Mega Smasher event. Check them out in-store. There is, as I mentioned, some in-store only deals. And of course, you can check out everything going online at Princess Auto or shop online at megasmasher.ca for all the information on the Princess Auto Mega Smasher sale, which is live right now at Princess Auto up until the 22nd of September. Shout out to our friends at Canadian Club. There was a lot of that consumed and enjoyed by Bomber and a few Rider fans on Sunday at the Banjo Bowl. They will restock the shelves while the Bombers have a bye week and hit the road to Edmonton back later on this week. Of course, you can get the great taste of Canadian Club any day by a quick stop to your local Manitoba Liquor Marts, Canada's oldest favorite Canadian whiskey. Canadian Club, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And don't forget, next time you're in your local beer store, keep your eye out for Canadian Club and ginger ale. Pre-mixed cocktails in cans available everywhere you get beers, as well as at your local Manitoba Liquor Marts. Folks, if you have fencing needs or overhead doors, don't hesitate. Go straight to the experts at Wallace & Wallace, the leaders in fencing and overhead doors since 1946 in the city. If your property needs the security and protection of a new fence, they've got you covered with vinyl, ornamental, welded wire, chain link, or wood fences. And if you do have a need for a new garage door, which will also increase the value of your home, they've got Winnipeg's largest selection of overhead garage doors, one that'll fit your property perfectly as the exclusive Clopay dealer in Manitoba. Give Wallace & Wallace a call, 452-2700. The Wallace & Wallace team will arrange a time to come out and give you a free estimate. You can also visit them at wallacefences.com or pop down to their showroom on Lowson Crescent off of Keniston. And just as we bring in Billeck, Don't forget, guys, fall is just about here. I do see a few yellow leaves, which is somewhat concerning. But hey, we can't do anything about it. We do know the schedule changes a little bit, and with events, work, and whatnot. If you're realizing that you need to up your menswear game heading into fall, you need to get on down to F Apparel. Custom suits beginning at $400, along with chinos, golf pants, amazing shirts, custom made, both tucked and untucked styles, and the biggest and best selection of menswear accessories around. Don't forget to talk to them about a 15% discount for the wedding party. If you are in or having a wedding over the next little bit, they'll set you up with that and make the guys look great for the big day in F suits that you can wear long beyond the day of the nuptials. F Apparel's at 190 Smith Street, downtown. Check them out online or make an appointment at that's EPH Apparel.com. All right, let's bring in Scott Billeck from the Winnipeg Sun. Talk a little Jets and Bombers. Scotty, what's up? Are you down at the rink this morning?
I was. I literally. I did not. I can neither confirm or deny that I sped home. But I'm here. Safely.
What were you observing this morning? What caught your eye down as the Jets get ready for both the rookie camp and, of course, main camp next week? Yeah,
I mean, first of all, Braden Yeager's got a hell of a shot on him. Let's just say that right now. He threaded a needle, and it's hard to say. It whizzed past. It's one of those shots where you have like that much space to get the puck through, like literally a puck's width, right? And he puts it up and over the short side shoulder of Dominic DiVincentis, and just roofs it. And it was just, I was like that one drew gasps from, there's a few people there watching along. That one drew gas. He looks good. I mean, he looks exciting. He's got a hell of a shot on him. Didn't look out of place there. Obviously, I mean, there's a reason why he's a first-round draft pick, but you never know what these guys are going to kind of look like. There's a lot of veteran rookies, let's just say that there right now. But he didn't look out of place. Looked really good skating with Jacob Julian. And I'd have to look at the lines. I'm not remembering it right now.
He was with Julian and Chibrikov.
Chibrikov, that's what it was. Yeah, sorry. And then there was Brad Lambert looked really good. He's put on 8 pounds. So that's obviously
that's significant.
8 pounds of muscle. Yeah, it's never fat on these guys, right? So 8 pounds of muscle on Brad Lambert. Just looks a little bit bigger. But it's not like, you remember when Josh Morrissey put on weight in his, I want to say, his second or his third year in the NHL, and it slowed him down, right? Like, that's one of the things that you always worry about. Guys want to get bigger, stronger, and all that, and it ends up kind of being to their detriment, right? Because they just end up getting slower, and they get tired out a little bit more. That's not what it looks like for Brad Lambert. Brad Lambert said he's feeling fine, and so he looks really good. I thought Elias Salmonson looked good. Like, you can tell that the pro season in Sweden helped his game. Now he looked quick. He looks ready to go. And I like Kevin He. That's always going to be a weird one if he ever makes it to the NHL. But he looked good.
It's right in 2 different ways.
Yeah, it is. That's right. You can never
grammatically
really get it wrong.
Correct. Yeah. You can't even screw that up, Scott.
So he looked good, and Dominic DiVincentis, I thought he looked really good. Like, I was watching him quite a bit because he was down at the one end where all the media were gathered. He just looks big and he looks better. He's got kind of sort of like, I guess, moose pads now, kind of Jets colored pads now. So no more of those pads from his OHL days. He looked really good, and looking at the top guys, because you think you're going to see a lot of the guys that I said, those top 2 lines, you're going to probably see a lot of them. Brad Lambert's there. He doesn't need to be there. That's the other thing that really sticks out. Brad Lambert, and he was at development camp too, didn't need to be at development camp either. Brad Lambert's doing everything he can to show leadership, along with all the skill that he has to try and make this team next week. And we'll see how it goes this weekend. These games are always kind of a bit sloppy. There's not a lot of system work going on, right? I mean, that's just the way that's the way that these games are. And I guess the other thing is Chaz Lucius in a yellow non-contact. We knew he was still injured at the beginning of summer. Obviously coming back from his injury, his latest injury, and he won't play a part this weekend. They don't want him to. They're just being really cautious, and they're taking it very slowly with him when it comes to contact. So I mean,
do they expect him to be able, I can't. I'll be honest.
I don't think he's
sounds bad. I can't
be playing much of a role in training camp.
I can't keep track of the injuries that, what he's dealing with at this point. But so there is a concern that he'll even participate in camp, but it's a matter of just continuing rehab and then hopefully get in with the Moose lineup and play at some point.
Yeah, you're not even thinking NHL. I haven't heard this, but if you're looking at Chaz Lucius, and so when's he going to get contact over the next week, right? He's not. It's just the way it is. And the problem with having a guy like that in training camp is guys are competing. We've seen years where guys come out of the gate in training camp and are hitting guys. Like, you're trying to make your mark. I think Chaz Lucius will be skating with the IR. He'll be taken in the IR skates and that sort of thing. So I don't think Chaz Lucius, I would suggest, is a bit of an afterthought in terms of training camp and that sort of thing. That kid just needs to stay healthy and play a full season in a league right now, and then go from there. Like, there's just he's a bit of a walking Band-Aid at the moment, right? I mean, and it's unfortunate for him. Super nice kid. You wish the best for him, but it's just the reality of the situation is he hasn't played a lot of hockey over the last several years, and he's had some pretty devastating injuries that have required him to learn to walk again, learn to skate again, right? Like, things that you don't want to hear from a first-round prospect. But at the same time, this is what they have to work with, and this is what they are working with. And they're being very cautious with them, and you would expect that given the nature of his injuries and how often he has been injured over the last several years.
Yeah, I am just hopeful that this young man can get back on the ice, can feel confident about where he's at, and show what he can do at some point, and do it for a consistent period of time.
Yeah,
he was a first rounder for a reason. We had Stephen Ellis on yesterday talking about it. He was really, really high on Chaz. But again, it's the old saying, you can't make the club if you're in the tub. And unfortunately, he's been dealing with this stuff, and we just hope that he'll get a chance at some point this season to show what he can do and kind of reach the potential that he had when he was picked, I think 18th overall by the Jets back, I believe, in 2021. Scott Billeck is with us from the Winnipeg Sun. Were you there in the Scheifele scrum yesterday?
I was, yeah.
We just played a whole bunch of that, and that was that was as upbeat and extensive as we've heard from Mark in a long, long time. I mean, there's something about coming back and seeing your buddies again after the summer. I mean, much like going back to school, getting the guys back together and starting it up. But I was really interested in his comments about the excitement about some of these young guys that'll be coming into camp. And, for anyone that thought that maybe this would be looked negatively by the veterans of the Winnipeg Jets, we heard a very, very different tune from Mark yesterday. And I think that's very important as a leader. And I think for those guys to kind of embrace some young guys coming in and maybe giving a chance to add some energy, add some youth, and some different looks to a lineup that, I think we all agree needed to change somewhat based on what happened last year in the postseason.
Yeah, and I guess there's also an element too. It's just like, there's not much Mark can do about it at this point. But you're right, and I think there is a bit, there is a reason to be excited. And Mark, the first guy that Mark listed off, and you guys have heard it already, was Brad Lambert, right? Lambo, as he called him, as is known. That was the first guy. I think there's good reason for that. I think Mark. We talked to Mark Morrison today, the Moose coach, and one of the first questions is, do you think Lambert's ready to take that next step? And, he's playing the political or, the towing the company lines, saying, I have my opinion, but it's not up to me and all that. Basically saying, yes, this is this guy's chance to kind of take it and run with it. But, Mark was upbeat. You're right. And I think there's, this year is going to be what this year is. We don't know what it is, but you lose two vets on the blue line. But I think there still is a hope around here. And Mark said it himself that the core is still here. yeah, you lose Brendan Dillon, and that is a big loss. And he said that himself yesterday too. But the way that this team plays, and I don't expect a big deviation from the structure of the philosophy of this team going forward. If somebody can step up in that defensive core, Dylan Sandberg, would probably be the guy that you would hope would kind of step into a bigger role, potentially use his physical, his stature a little bit more, like a Brendan Dillon. You're hoping that Ville Heinola can move in and be the guy that he should have been last year, if not for that freak injury. So I think there is. I think you have to have an excitement, because this is sort of the way that the league trends, right? Young players make an impact in this league, and this Jets team, if we're honest, I think has been a little bit behind the eight ball on that kind of philosophy over the years. A lot of guys have, potentially stayed longer in the A than they should have. But regardless, I mean, this is the year. Scheifele said it way back, on July 1st, I guess it was, and he hasn't really made any other moves to suggest otherwise right now, that it's not going to be like this. So, there are options, or there are opportunities come next week. I think Brad Lambert's probably in the driver's seat of that Lambo, we'll say, of potentially making this roster. And I'm curious. I know they'll probably want Elias Salmonson to play and Solomonson to play in the A this year. But there's an opening on that right side, in my opinion. And I think that, I guess it depends on philosophy. Some teams like to have their defensemen play in the AHL. Other teams want them to learn at the NHL level. It depends on what you think this team can do and what Elias Solomonson can do. Because if he can kind of play that structure, that game, I don't have an issue with it. I was arguing with Sean Reynolds about this yesterday at the first informal skate for the Jets this year. And, just kind of arguing back and forth whether Solomonson should be an NHLer this year. Should they give him that opportunity, at least 9 games, to start the year to play? Because you don't have to play Logan Stanley right off the bat. And you compare, Heinola with Solomonson and see see how it goes. But so I'm interested to see. I think you also see, we haven't really seen a lot of that 9-game kind of run as much. We remember when Scheifele got it.
We certainly haven't seen a pairing of rookie defensemen together.
No, we haven't. And so I think there again, this is it's the land of opportunity this year, and it truly is, because I think we know what the top 6 is going to be, or at least what they like it to look like. But I think Brad Lambert can have a say in that, because Brad Lambert's not going to come into the NHL and play on the 4th line. So I think there is a spot for him to potentially be either the center or the winger.
It's
on
there
that
for
line.
the taking. There's no doubt.
It is. I do, because you can easily put Vladimir Mestikov onto the 4th line. That's where he plays, and that he's comfortable there and makes your line better. So I think you could start the year with Lambert and Perfetti, one at wing, one at center, whatever works out during training camp, and give those guys a little bit of, give them some runway to go with it. So it's going to be an interesting training camp from that perspective. And I think more than anybody else, and the one to watch come starting next week, is 100% Brad Lambert, because I think he's the one that has I don't want to call it a clear path, but he has the path to the NHL this season, if he can walk it or pave it or whatever you want to say, right? So it's there for him, as you said, it's there for the taking.
I mean, back to Elias for a minute. I can't wait to see him in camp again, and in playing in and playing in some preseason games. And I don't think that there's much that he can do to be on that opening day roster. But I will say this, and I think it's important for him to play a couple months minimum in the American Hockey League and just get used to playing the grind of the North American style. It will be a little different, but he has been playing against men and has been very successful in it. Where I think Elias's situation might be different than some of his other contemporaries in previous years is that I'm not sure that they'll feel that he is that far away from being ready to go. And listen, right. I mean, the Josh Morrissey story is a perfect example. I mean, there were some injuries early on, and he kind of got in there earlier than I think the plan was, and he played so well, he just never left the lineup.
Yep.
And I would expect that there will be a point, and maybe it's before Christmas, maybe it's later on in the year, where the opportunity is there to give Elias the chance to come in and get a few games in, and then I think it's going to be up to him. And I think he's further along and has a better chance of actually succeeding out of the gate, because of the way he's developed for the last 2 years, playing in the Swedish Men's League, with the responsibility that had been on him, with the amount that he's played, and of course the success that he's had in both the regular season and playoffs. So, he'll be the guy that I think this weekend will pay the most attention to, just because of the defenseman that the Jets are sending. Probably, certainly the highest ranked prospect, the highest drafted guy. But come training camp, as well as who he's with. We remember he was with Josh Morrissey last year, which was, I think, in some ways a little bit of a look ahead to the future. They don't do that with every prospect that comes in, just to give him a little bit of experience with a guy like Josh. So Elias will be a big topic next week when the team gets back from Penticton and begins the camp. Billeck, I want to switch gears for a minute to the Bombers. And obviously, big win on the weekend. They won 5 in a row. They're still holding down first place in the West. But Chris Streveler is out for the season right now. Terry Wilson came in and did the short yardage. But this is a huge, huge hole. And some would argue that already the Bombers maybe needed another quarterback to come in to play if Zach Collaros is hurt at some point. I mean, they're bringing in Dolegala, the guy that got cut from Toronto. Do you think that's enough, or will the Bombers be looking at a more established, experienced quarterback in the Canadian Football League to come in and play behind Zach Collaros and get out there in the case that Zach is hurt, which has happened twice already this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I was talking to Teddy Wyman today, obviously my coworker, and everybody knows he's battling cancer and all that. But but I was talking to him just a little bit about, kind of who both guys are. We've seen Jake Dolegala this year. He played against the Bombers when Vernon Adams got injured in that game. We didn't see much of him. The next week, he didn't really play that well. So he's more of a, I don't want to even call him. You can't really call him. Brian Scott is a little more Chris Streveler-like in terms of stature, in terms of mobility, and that sort of thing. I think he's probably the better fit if just based on what I would know of both of those guys. Dolegala was huge, right? I think he's 6'7", almost 250 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he reminds me, and they've thrown Taylor Cornelius around prior to that, of another guy. And there's another guy, Taylor Cornelius is either 6'5" or 6'6", and that sort of thing. So I think Dolegala probably gives you a little more of this guy can pass the ball and be more of a pocket guy. And Brian Scott is a little more of a guy I think would probably fit their system a bit more. And probably mirror a little bit more of the Chris Streveler type. So, I mean, I assume it's just going to come in.
Is that what they need to look for, though? I mean, from my perspective, this isn't about getting another short yardage quarterback. This is what the hell happens if Zach Collaros goes down and can't
100%.
play.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, I think there was worry about that before Zach went down, or before Chris went down, right? That if, because we saw it in Labor Day, right? I mean, it wasn't like that offense was moving the ball anywhere, right? And we saw it earlier in the year. I think, was it week 3, 4, whatever, whenever they played Ottawa there, where they just basically ran the ball down their throats. It worked, right? They got the win, but I mean, again, not sustainable. And you could see Chris Streveler after that game. You're surprised that guy wasn't on a gurney after that game. Never mind, at the end of or in the third quarter of the Banjo Bowl there. So you're right. And I think, so at that time, what is it, right? Like, I mean, I would go, I still think I would go with Brian Scott because he's got more to him than Jake Dolegala was in a pass-happy offense, and he wasn't able to really pass the ball. And that was a bit of the issue with him, right? Like, this is an offense that was built around Vernon Adams, and before that, Nathan Rourke, right? And now you see Nathan Rourke again, they're able to throw the ball, and you've seen that, in the last couple weeks now, where Nathan Rourke's really come back on and gotten used to the game again. So, yeah, it's a good question. are either of them a good, candidate right now? Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm put it this way: that doesn't move my needle at all. And again, my sole worry is that something happens to Zach at the end of the season, and this team has to play the Edmonton Elks or the BC Lions, who, by the way, have two excellent quarterbacks, both of them. I mean, who could have imagined Rourke and VA being on the same team? And that won't be the case next year. Edmonton's got a two-headed monster with Ford, who's back starting, and MBT, who's been awesome as of late.
Yeah.
And listen, Zach, and this isn't about having someone come in and challenge Zach. Zach is the guy. He will play, but he's also been knocked out twice this year. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see the possibility of anybody that we have mentioned going in and being able to win a playoff game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers against a very, very good team. Can you game manage a way to beating, one of the lesser teams in the league? Maybe, but you can't. That's not how you win a Grey Cup. And I mean, just with what's happened with Zach so far this season, with the fact that he has, missed a game, got knocked out of another game. I mean, I just think that it's prudent to do it. And I mean, I'm thinking about other guys. Like, if Hamilton is eliminated in the next week or two, I mean, is there a possibility of Bo Levi Mitchell being a backup? The Ottawa's got that packed quarterback room. So, I mean, Jeremiah Masoli. I mean, Dustin Crum doesn't move the needle as much.
I guess my question is, what kind of assets? You already have one of the premier, if not the premier quarterback. And obviously Zach's had a tough year. I mean, where there's no two ways about that. Injuries, just on the field play. I mean, his O-line's been decimated at times. Obviously, receiving core has been decimated. It's been a tough year. I don't know how much I hang this or think that this is a Zach Collaros problem more than it is a personnel issue and just some extreme bad luck on the team's part. But at the end of the day, if you're Kyle Walters right now, Mike O'Shea, and you're sort of like thinking, okay, well, what do we do? How much assets do you want to put up for a guy like, let's say Jeremiah Masoli? Like, what do you want to spend when you already have a quarterback and a very competent quarterback already? And so I think to me, it's I guess what you're doing right now is, this week you bring these guys in, they do basically shoot it out for a week to figure out who can win the job. Perhaps they keep both guys. I think John Hodge was tweeting about that or said somewhere about that from 3 Down Nation. I don't know if they'd keep both of them, where you'd have 4 quarterbacks on your roster. But again, I mean, that also kind of alludes to your point where you might need that, right? If Zach does go down, maybe you do need sort of like a dual threat kind of, or kind of a combination of quarterbacks to win games. But I think whatever happens this week, how they kind of try out these guys, figure out which one makes the most sense for them in their system. But I think there will be certainly an eye to who can fit better into this system in terms of passing, in terms of, sort of mirroring a Zach Collaros as best as you can if he was ever to get injured. But you're right. I mean, I thought about Bo Levi. I've thought about Bo Levi. I thought about Jeremiah Masoli. I think those guys are bigger names. They obviously know how to win. Has Bo Levi, is he well past his expiry date? I don't know. But at the same time, you're trying to win a Grey Cup, and the Bombers have put them now in a very good position, at least to make the playoffs. Can they beat a Montreal? Can they beat a BC in a West final? I don't know. At this point, I think they've proven they can beat BC. Have they proven that they can beat a Nathan Rourke-led BC at the top of his game? Not yet. They haven't proven that they can beat Montreal. Nobody really has, other than BC. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I just don't know how much you want to give up, because I think once you get to the trade deadline, I mean, you're probably looking elsewhere at this point, right? I mean, do you want another O-lineman? Do you need? There's a lot of things that this team needs, right? So, and that knock on wood, but every week somebody's getting injured, right? I mean, it's like you saw a Streveler go down in the Banjo Bowl, and you're like, yeah, here it goes again, right? Just another guy down, another week where they lose a big name player. So Yeah, I don't know how to answer your question because I don't know exactly what this team wants, but I think you're right. I mean, I think the best thing would be to pick the best guy that can probably do that can be the best Zach Collaros impersonator, if that was the question, if that comes into question at some point. So yeah, it's a really weird situation.
I think back to 2019 and the Bombers making that deadline acquisition for a conditional first-round pick for Zach Collaros, and how thankful the Bombers were to be giving away that first-round pick afterwards because of what had happened. Anyways, that it's funny how late the trade deadline is. There still is some runway for a team like Hamilton to get eliminated, and maybe they get some money off the books. And they get something back for a guy that's probably not in their plans next year. Yeah. I'd feel a lot more comfortable going into those games down the stretch or a playoff game, knowing that a guy like that with that experience was behind Zach if things didn't go well. Billeck, always great having you on the program, buddy. We'll see you down at the rink. Take it easy.
Yeah, sounds good again. Appreciate
good stuff. There's Scott Billeck, at Scott Billeck on X, and of course you can read all his work just back from the rink in the pages of the Winnipeg Sun. All right, coming up, we're going to head back to Jet HQ and look ahead to the season for what fans can look forward to. First up, though, let's give a big cheers to our friends over at Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
Big cheers to our pals over at Little Brown Jug. I have a feeling there might be more than a few generics and 1919s being enjoyed by Fish fans tonight. The playoff game for the Winnipeg Goldeyes. This weekend, it's another Royal tent sale, the final tent sale of the year at Royal Sports, with thousands of pairs of shoes and merchandise, all 50% off or more. If you missed the big tent sale earlier this summer, don't worry. You got one more chance to get the biggest and best deals of the year at Royal Sports under the tent Saturday and Sunday down at 750 Pembina Highway. And, of course, while you're there, for all you hockey players, get ready for the season. Royal Sports is the #1 hockey superstore in town for over 40 years. Everything you need to get ready to drop the puck waiting for you at Royal Sports. But again, tent sale Saturday and Sunday. Follow them on Insta at Royal Sports Winnipeg for merchandise drops and the latest details on sale information. And of course, the big tent sale this weekend. And hey, NFL's back tomorrow night, and that means prime time NFL at your local Boston Pizza. Pop by BP for Monday Night Football in every NFL game and enter to win an exclusive trip for 2 to Vegas on Super Bowl weekend, plus official NFL jerseys, swag, and more. They've also got the new game day menu, which we enjoyed liberally on Monday night, like that new triple play combo, wings, cactus cuts, all the good stuff, and of course, touchdown pints of Bud and Bud Light for only $7. NFL is live on the big screen with your chance to win at every local Boston Pizza. And hey, if you're staying at home, you can always order Boston Pizza online by ordering at bostonpizza.com. All right. Well, we've spent a lot of time talking about the players getting ready for the season. Let's see what we've got cooking up for fans. And our good friend, the director of game ops for the Winnipeg Jets and noted mustache model himself, Kyle Balharry, joins us now. Kyle, what's up, buddy? Great to have you on the big show. What's going on?
Yeah, happy to be back, Huss. Good to see you, my friend. Life is good.
Yeah, and getting busy for you guys as well. I mean, having worked on the other side of things for many years, I know you get to Labor Day weekend, and the next thing you know, it is all on board. What's the bustle around HQ right now? Is you, your staff, and everybody in the organization gets ready for training camp, and of course, some big dates coming up even before we get to October.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, Huss, you've been around for just as long as I have. I mean, the smell of hockey, the feel of hockey, it's a little cooler at night. Kids are off to hockey practice, tryouts. People are buying equipment. Royal Sports is getting flooded, of course, with people coming in and buying equipment galore. So, I mean, the buzz of hockey's in the air. The ice has just gone in. Canada Life Center as well. It looks absolutely beautiful. Players are starting to skate, and we are really starting to get ready for the season, turning it up a notch, and that's promos, videos, music, bands, you name it, we've got it going.
Speaking of bands and music and whatnot, a big improvement to the arena, which we might not necessarily see right off the bat, but we can hear. What can you tell us about the sound system that I know you've been working on for a long time?
Yeah, the sound system is very exciting. Back in 2004, when the arena opened up, we had a system installed that served us quite well in the Manitoba Moose years. After the first year of the Jets coming back, we simply realized that it just wasn't loud enough to contain the Jets crowd to really make it sing. So we installed a new system in 2012, and it served us really well until in the last few years, where we realized that there's definitely some strides that can be made. We visit other arenas, see how other teams are doing it, check some of the biggest facilities in the world, realize that improving our sound system will take our game to the next level. And, not only take it to the next level, but give the fans a little bit more what they're wanting as well. We've heard the feedback. We've done surveys. We've certainly heard what they're saying, and we want to deliver. We want to make sure the fans are given the best possible NHL experience that there is. And adding a sound system is something we've been trying to do for a few years, and we are really, really excited about it. The clarity, the coverage, you'll be able to hear the announcements, the videos, any interaction with the crowd. Super excited about it, Huss, and you're going to notice it. Fans will notice it from the very start.
Well, listen, that's a big improvement. It's something I think is, I know it's been working hard, and it's great to have it. Balls, we've got an issue with your mic. Do us a favor, pop out and then pop back in. And Remo, if you want to just take a look, you might want to either, whether it's selecting the right one or firing a message, we'll get that. And hopefully we can get a little bit better of an audio feed with Kyle, who's joining us, of course, from Jets HQ. Tons of big promos coming up this year. And of course, they just announced that all last week. It all gets going with the home opener on the 11th of October, which is going to be a toque giveaway. And there's some other pretty cool giveaways this season. Of course, the toques on the home opener. We got the limited edition Connor Hellebuck pennant given away to the first 5,000 fans. The neon snapback hat giveaway to the first 5,000 for 90s night.
90s night.
On November the 9th. That sounds good. Okay, you're sounding a whole
Sounding
lot better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I rambled on a bit probably, and you probably didn't understand a word I said. It was...
No, we were excited. We could see your passion about the new sound system and how that was going to help everything going on.
Yes.
But just as far as promos, I mean, a pretty extensive promo schedule. And, in many of the important, communities in our city, the Filipino night, the South Asian night, the Wasak night, I mean, all of that is back. But a lot of the giveaways are a little different. We were just going down through it. And I think I still have and use that Jets fanny pack that they gave away at 90s night, either last year or the year before. But it looks like they've kind of gone in a different direction with some pretty cool promos. And then, of course, big giveaways, like, for instance, the jerseys off the back night towards the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's important to continue some of the great traditions that we've had for years, like Jersey Off Our Back and some of those other big promotions, and including, Hockey Fights Cancer Night and all those wonderful nights that we have, of course. But yeah, you're right. We've added a country night where there's a cool cowboy hat giveaway, 90s night with the snapback hat. In-game as well, we're changing it up a little this year too. People have been used to maybe T-shirts or toques, but this year we've got mini hockey sticks, we've got Jets hockey cards, and Hustler, we've got koozies.
Yes. Listen, the most underrated giveaway item has to be the koozies. Take it from WSTers that have been chasing me down at Bomber games, try and get some art. That is a great one, and you will never regret having a koozie on you at any point. I mean, that is just a fact. So I'm looking forward to these. I mean, and obviously there's some big nights, but also this one on the 18th, focusing on Connor Hellebuck. He is such a popular player. The most decorated Winnipeg Jet, certainly of the 2.0 era, with the 2 Vezina trophies. A little commemorative pennant for fans of Hellebuck in that one, and I think that'll be a real popular giveaway right out of the gate in the second week of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And we'll also have the Vezina Trophy and the Jennings Trophy in the arena that night for fans on the concourse to take photos with. So that'll be an exciting part, that if you've ever been to the Hockey Hall of Fame, those trophies are so amazing. And the fact that we'll have the Vezina and the Jennings on the concourse is really exciting, I believe, for the fans. It should be great.
You mentioned bands, and I know last year, for a number of games, there was some live music in the arena that I think went over really well. Certainly changed things up for kind of what fans that come to a lot of the games have been accustomed to. Is that in the cards? Maybe a little bit more live entertainment in the arena as well this year?
Yeah, definitely. We're working on a plan to have more live entertainment. And, for years and ever since, Hustler, it's been 20 years since we've been at the arena and putting on games. I remember the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra at the Winnipeg Arena playing live at a game, and the feedback we got from that was incredible. Adding live entertainment, no matter where you are, seems to be exciting, fresh, in the moment. And, people, we're not that far away from COVID still, and people have been shut inside without live entertainment for a while. And we're happy to bring more of that to the games. There's going to be some plans unveiled pretty soon with our live entertainment at the games and what we're going to do. So, with the new sound system and more live entertainment, we're extremely excited this year to bump it up.
We just had Billeck on, who was down from the at the skate, and it was really neat hearing Mark Scheifele talk about, he's excited to see Lambeau and some of the young players come in. I mean, like, just moving away from your official day job to a guy that has lived, eaten and breathed hockey all these years, this is going to be a real fun training camp. I mean, the fact that there, for the first time in a while, seems like there is a spot or two that's there for the taking for some of these young guys. And I'm sure you'd agree, a little bit of new blood and young blood in this team, I think, is a positive development, especially coming at a time where you've got a brand new head coach, albeit one with a pretty good familiarity of a number of the players in the system and with the club.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think you can feel that excitement, just a buzz in the city around the team. Fans have a bit of a new feel to them. I think there's excitement about the youth movement here. I think that some of our, of course, the young battles that you're talking about, those who's going to take the spot, who's not going to take the spot. I mean, those are all great for storylines for the season and getting people excited about hockey. You want competition at every position. You need it. And it's those teams that have the strongest competition within that will put the best teams on the ice, I believe. So, having that with youth, it's a new beginning of it, right? Like, there's going to be a bunch of players that our fans are not used to seeing streaking down the ice and our preseason games, and really giving those guys a look. And I mean, there is some real talent out there. I mean, that's part of this. This isn't just a bunch of battles for some spots. This is some young talent that's, we're all excited about. We've got high hopes for these young guys, and they seem to be great young men. And I think the entire city's ready to embrace them. And not only that, but, you add some youth into the lineup, you add some youth into the stands, and, you got a little bit more of a rocking night every night. So I'm really looking forward to it, Huss. I think it's exciting times ahead here.
Well, I'm with you, buddy. And listen, I mean, we got to wait till the 11th for the home opener, but you mentioned the preseason, which I'm with you. I think it's going to be far more like, sometimes you'll go to the games, you'll say some hi to a few friends, and you'll watch. This year, I mean, there's guys battling for spots on the roster, on the club. And I think that, the entire focus on these games is going to be a little bit more. And listen, while we're talking about the preseason, we kick this whole thing off with a massive day, a week Saturday on September 21st. Not only is it FanFest, which will, of course, be set up live, and looking forward to seeing many Jet fans out at the Hockey for All Center in the morning, but then that night is the first preseason game, And, of course, the season ticket holder appreciation, which you guys do to kick off the preseason every year as well. That's going to be an all-hands-on-deck day for everyone at True North, I'm sure, but also for Jet fans who might be doing the double, starting it off out on the west side of the city for the Fan Fest, which is always a great event, and moving downtown later on that night for the first time to see the boys in the unis.
I think it's really cool. We haven't had Fan Fest and a game on the same day before. I think it's really, really cool. And I mean, like we talked about earlier, the smell of hockey's in the air. People are down at the rink already. There's tryouts going on. There's fittings going on. Hockey's in the air, and I think to start the season with a real bang here with an incredible Fan Fest event down at Hockey for All Center, and then that night, first preseason game, and also saying thanks to the season ticket holders. Just like you said, I mean, that's the way you start it. Let's get hockey going, and it should be an incredible day.
Well, listen, pal, great to have you on the program. I know we'll catch up, and as we're doing kind of fun and trying to get the word out on some of the big nights that you guys are involved in. We'll have you back, but otherwise, just happy to be talking Jets hockey with you again, and cannot wait for the upcoming season. And, of course, we will see you at Fan Fest out at the Hockey for All Center bright and early a week on Saturday, and then later on that night down at the rink for the first preseason game of the year. Balls, take it easy, man. Thanks again for doing this, and best of luck to you and the entire org going into the season.
Thanks, Huss. Appreciate it always, my friend. See you soon.
You got it. There's Kyle Balharry, Director of Game Ops for True North and the Winnipeg Jets. They get the full rundown of the entire promo schedule up right now at the team's website. You can check that out. And, of course, we'll have some updates and promos going throughout the season here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. All right, we mentioned it earlier. If you popped in late, though, don't forget tonight, Goldeyes playoffs down at Blue Cross Park. Goldeyes.com for tickets. They are pushing 5,000 right now. I imagine there'll be a big walk-up. So if you are going to the game, get those tickets online digitally. Go to Goldeyes.com. Get them in your phone. Avoid any lines. And then get to the ballpark. Get ready to get locked in and get loud for the Fish, as they are one win away from moving on to the American Association Championship Series. First pitch tonight, just after 6:30, down at Blue Cross Park. I got to thank our friends at Breezy Bend for their great support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. The golf updates are really going to pick up in the next couple weeks as we get closer to finishing up September in Montreal at the President's Cup. First time ever on home soil. There is an event this week, the Procore Championship. Sahith Thegal's the favorite. A few of the international players are playing, though. Corey Connors at 14-1. Max Homa's in it at 22-1. Minwoo Lee, 22. As well as Canadian Mac Hughes, who's looking forward to representing the international squad on home soil at 40-1. Pay attention to that, and then it's all eyes on Montreal. And speaking of the President's Cup, Ryan Hart, Winnipeg native, great friend of the program, is the tournament director for this entire event. It's the biggest golf event on Canadian soil ever. He's going to join us to fill us in on how the preparations are coming up for when the stars of the tour come to Montreal in a team format in the President's Cup competition. Of course, Breezy Bend, great supporters of ours. If you are looking for an incredible golf course, practice facility, social scene, clubhouse to make your home family's long-term home on one of Winnipeg's top private clubs, think about Breezy Bend for the 2025 season. You can go to breezybend.ca for more information, or call our pal Corey Johnson. Tell the WST boys sent you to find out more about getting onto Breezy Bend for 2025. Course is just in such great shape right now, trying to still squeeze out a couple rounds before the end of the season. All right, we're going to get to the Cool Bet lines right away, and I know we sort of talked about this later on. But, with the signing of Dolegala and Scott, why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? And let us know in chat. Is that enough? I think you kind of know where I'm at, and we will talk about this on CFL 110 coming up. But can the Bombers achieve what they've set out to, and that's win a Grey Cup, with the, shall we say, lack of experience and depth behind Zach Collaros? Dolegala has some. Is he good enough to do the job if he has to take it? We will see. Give us your thoughts for the Why Not question of the day on the Bomber quarterback situation in the chat. And you can also chime in on that coming up right after Winnipeg Sports Talk over, on the CFL 110 over on the WST channel. All right. I mentioned a few of the Procore odds that are available at CoolBet. Heading over for our daily CoolBet lines. By the way, shout out to Canada yesterday. Tie in Mexico. Nice little plus 220 winner. Men's soccer team, man, beating USA last week, tying Mexico on the road. And the Mexicans, dirtiest team around. I mean, I love Mexico. I love the Mexican people. I hate the Mexican national soccer team. They are the dirtiest. They tried to basically just fight Canada last night. But hey, when you're the team that everyone's gunning for, maybe you should expect some of that. Canada, the kings of CONCACAF still. That was a nice win yesterday. As far as CFL lines go, BC's 4.5-point favorites at home against Toronto in the Friday game. Dusty will have the call on that one. Ottawa, 4-point favorites in Hamilton against the Ticats at the early game Saturday afternoon. And then later on, it is the Montreal Alouettes, 5.5-point favorites in Calgary against the struggling Calgary Stampeders. Bombers still 4-1 to win the Grey Cup behind Montreal at plus 250 and the British Columbia Lions at plus 230. And of course, the NFL lines are all up right now. Tomorrow night, heck of a Thursday nighter. The Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins go at it down in South Florida. Miami, a slight 2.5-point favorite against the Bills. Bills plus 2.5 and plus 113 on the money line. Dolphins minus 133. Of course, make sure you join us in the lock shop tomorrow and Friday to get all of our best bets going into week 2, as well as a few of the parlays that we're gonna put together and hopefully get in the win column. I had to raise the banner parlay last Thursday. We'll try and get another winner for you this Thursday in the lock shop tomorrow. But Friday's the big day where we break down our favorite picks against the spread every week. We raised the bar pretty darn high last year with the pick, so the pressure's on to follow it up. We'll get back to it on Friday. And one other thing on CoolBet, Tuesday the 24th is our second EST WST Lock Shop Poker Tourney. What you're going to want to do is go to coolbet.com, click on poker, download the poker app, and then you can just search Lock Shop, enter, reserve your spot, and join us on the 24th. And Remo, I can announce that because of your second place performance in the inaugural poker tourney, the best result for any of the EST or WST crew, there is now officially a bounty on your head for the 24th event as well.
No, I was worried about that, Huss. I mean, I guess it's good to promote the thing, and I got to tell all my friends that there is a bounty, but
now you know how I felt last
it's
time.
not
Everyone wanting a shot.
Yeah,
everyone trying to take a shot.
I'm gonna have to alter my strategy, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess I deserve it. You finish second. I'm gonna have everyone coming after me, and I'm looking forward to trying to defend my title as top performer from EST or WST.
You should have heard Dusty and Matt going at it today on the lock shop. Very rarely will I want to kind of go in and grab a microphone and start getting at it, but there's a lot of trash talk going on over there. But I am proud that you represented us and beat everybody else. So right now, I guess we still have the top performer. I'd like to be that guy. Anyway, September 24th, we'll have more details on the lock shop and on Winnipeg Sports Talk, but mark that down. And anyone that played last time, hopefully you'll join us again. And if you missed it, make a point of doing it. All right, weird night last night. Most of the later races at Assiniboia Downs got canceled because of all that smoke that came into the city, Remo. So we had a push, but we do have an update. After all of our horse picks all season long, if you can believe this, after I was up by 100 early on, Remo was up by 1 or 150, we're coming down to the last 7 days of live racing, and we are separated by only $7. So it's basically a sprint to the finish, my man.
Yeah, well, last night was air quality. The other night in the city, I got a text from my mom that it smelled like poo outside. I don't know what was going on on Monday night. She's like, go outside and smell. I was like,
It did smell like crap everywhere.
I was like-
I completely concur. We were downwind in the wrong spot, but the south side of the city at least did smell like a pig pen.
I did not notice it. My mom's like, go outside and smell it. It smells like shit out there. I was like, I'm good. I don't think I need to do that. And yesterday it was air quality, so no races. And yeah, you texted me that I dodged a bullet because you had all winners on your card. We'll see about that.
That's what I claim. That's what I claim.
We'll see about that. Races tonight. I'm on race 1. Are you on race 1?
No, you can fire away. I'm not on the first two.
Okay, I race 1, 3, 5, 7, all odd number races. 1, Lucky Appeal, and 3. Am I doing 1, 3? No, 1, 2 Exacta. Lucky Appeal, Sugar Daddy Jack, Exacta, box here in race 1.
Nicely done. I am on in race number 3. I'm on a 1-3 Exacta box, taking Flying First Class and the favorite, Dazzling Gold.
I have the same thing. $3 box, 1-3.
Oh, nice. Well, if you win, I only have a $2 box, so that could be
that could be the difference, man.
I'm going to need my other dollar to go on another winner, hopefully a better one to do it. Do you have anything in race number 4?
Nah, just 5 and 7.
5, this is really interesting. Liking It Twisted is the favorite. Diane's Wish came in second the last time. And then the other horse, our favorite old Kim's Texas Bling, is in the mix. And of course, there's Double Barreled Elite. I think I'll probably go with a 2-3 Exacta box for that. Did you say you have race 5?
I just have 5 that you were just listing 4.
Yeah, that was my 4. What do you have for 5?
$3 on Mary Who to win. A bit of a longer shot here.
I like Mary Who in this one actually. I am riding with Just a Pose and Daisy's a Doozy. We'll do another Exacta box for that one, and then we end up hitting. Okay, here we are with race number 6. I'm going to go with the old Triactor box. And this is a funny one in that, you got 2 pretty heavy favorites. And then it's pretty wide open. I know 3 Rough Shots is the favorite. I'm going to go with the Triactor box, $1 for 3, 4, and number 10, El Muzin. So 3, 4, 7. Actually, I might go 3, 4, 3, 4, and then have 7 and 8. Because I don't mind Wit Sweet 16 as a possibility to pop in there. I'll add that one as well. And then finally, race 7.
I'm on race 7. I'm just picking a winner here. For 6, Stay Happy.
Nicely done. I'm going to put a couple bucks on X Checker to win. Victory Line is the favorite. I may have to go. I think I've got $6 left. I may have to just roll with the Smart Picks and Program Selection for a 269. I will confirm that after CFL 110, but it's all there right now. Check out Assiniboia-Downs.com for more information on live racing, free admission, free parking. And again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, extended season all the way until September 24th. Great show today, and I'm glad we did talk a little bit about the Bombers quarterback situation. We had lots of Jet stuff to talk about. Because we're really going to dive into it coming up on CFL 110 with the Hammer in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many stories to talk about. And one conversation I'm looking forward to having as the season winds down is MOP. You, Jeff, and I talked about it in a group. John Hodge had an article at 3 Down Nation as well saying, there's been no one who's really separated themselves. And the guy, it's normally the quarterback. Well, the guy who's leading the league in passing yards and touchdowns is Bo Levi Mitchell, who's on a last place team, who's been benched this year. I don't think it's going to be him. And just, you haven't had, I think Fajardo would be the guy, but he's been hurt. And Davis Alexander came in and played really well, and they still won. And, on running back, Brady Oliveira was leading in yards. He's not anymore at standback. He doesn't have a touchdown on the season. And, look at defense. Who's leading the league in sacks? Well, there's like a ton of guys tied at 6. Same with interceptions. Maybe you want to say, is Tyrell Ford? He didn't really have that great first couple games. So I don't know who it's going to be. Someone's going to separate themselves in these last couple weeks of the season. But I think the MOP conversation, very fascinating.
Yeah, well, we'll touch on that. We'll definitely touch on it because we're into the last third of the season and we have to start kind of, and listen, I do think there's one guy and then a bit of a gap and then some others. But we'll get to that coming up when Jeff joins us in just a few minutes. Big thanks to everyone that joined us for Winnipeg Sports Talk today. A huge thanks to all of our sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Thanks to Kyle Balharry from the Jets, Scott Billeck from the Winnipeg Sun, and of course, Trevor Curl, play-by-play voice of the Goldeyes, for setting up the big playoff game today. We've got a lot to talk about, and the Hammer will join me in just a couple of minutes. If you're with us live on YouTube, don't go anywhere. We'll kick over to the CFL 110 show right away. And otherwise, if you're listening on the podcast, find it, CFL 110, subscribe, and it will be there for you as well. Mike McIntyre still to come this week. Murata Tesh. We'll have lots more Jets talk heading into the weekend with the Young Stars tournament happening out in Penticton. So join us tomorrow, but don't go anywhere in the meantime. CFL 110 is next, presented by Garage Living Winnipeg. That's coming up right after this on Winnipeg Sports Talk here on our YouTube channel. Thanks for hanging, everyone, and have a great night. Go Fish.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.